we're going to bring in two other Houston organizers. Um, Live on the scene, we have Daniel Cohen and Rebecca Shukla. Daniel, Rebecca,
It's
how's it going? There's some smiling faces.
you better
As
talk
Neil
to
David is
Daniel
giving
because
us a
I can
hint.
barely hear.
It's yeah, it's super. It's like loud, and the stream is quiet over here, but it's awesome over here.
That's David Galvin.
We got all kinds of like awesome people and activists here. I'm gonna give you a quick. Let's see if you can see behind me. There's a stage that's set up for Sean Thierry's gonna address the audience soon. He's been up about 4-1 in the polls. All three out of 4 indivisible Houston candidates this evening have already won outright. There's one that's going to probably be in a runoff. So right now we're looking at a clean sweep, grand slam, whatever metaphor you want to come up with. But we're having a great election night over here, guys. How are y'all?
We're doing good. We just went through Collin County. We just went through Tarrant County. And we want to hear from you guys in Harris County. Tell us more about this DA race. What is the impact? What are people saying? What was it like preparing for the primary election and early voting? Give us the details.
So the short version of it is that this is the greatest grassroots uprising, electorally speaking, that I think I've ever seen in Harris County, that we had a 2-term incumbent who abused people left and right, who everyone had 3 and 4 and 5 and 10 different reasons to vote against. And we needed to make sure and go and tell people to do it. Through 6 months of grinding to make sure that that we would get the outcome that we saw tonight. And we got it right out of the gate. We knew, because it was 3-1 in the early votes. It's up 79-21 right now. We'll see how election day turns out.
And they've kicked the press out of her party. It was a private party to start with, and now they kicked the press out.
Yep. So we don't get to see the sad faces of Kim Ogg's folks, but that's okay, because we see the happy faces of everybody over here, and that's awesome. And it's amazing. I mean,
that's a great feeling.
It's great. It was volunteer led, this whole thing. We're going to make sure to tell people exactly what was done. It was precinct chairs, it was indivisibles, it was independent activists, it was people who have been at this for a long time telling the truth. Whether it was electorally on the ground knocking doors, or if it was media, or if it was people just straight up telling the truth, like Neil and the Houston Democracy Project. The point is that this is a major movement, and that we show that if we assert our power, that we can get outcomes like this. I think that this is historic. So
it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. It's up and down the ballot. We're gonna have runoffs later on, but I think there's a real tangible positive impact of all this.
So, Neil, Nick, any questions for Daniel and Rebecca with this amazing, to quote Daniel, the greatest grassroots organizing uprising in Harris County? Anything y'all want to ask for Daniel and Rebecca?
Did you have a question there, Nick?
Yeah, I did. So this is to Dan and Rebecca. So do you think there's a great correlation between your great victories tonight? And did it actually, did you notice anything when the mayoral race happened that this could happen tonight?
So I think what's so interesting about the mayoral race is people have been saying for months, oh no, Whitmire won, the Republicans are surging in Harris County. But if I may steal your language for a second, Neil, off-year, special interest funded, low turnout election, nonpartisan is different than an electoral year where you have a primary year with Cruz, Trump on the ballot. So really, I think that people, like, the advantage that we have as activists is imagination, right? And when people lack an imagination, they just look at the most recent news story. And if you look at the most recent major news cycle, it's going to be the mayoral race. But we said, no, we refuse to accept that kind of reality. And we had good reasons to think otherwise. You can see some of our stickers.
Can you see some
here.
of our stickers?
There you go.
Make Greg Abbott sad. Vote.
But yeah, that's Rebecca. You have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think Daniel. This is a strong suit.
What about you, David? You want to say anything?
I'll just chime in and saying labor in particular worked their butts off. We worked our butts off for Sean in particular, and we are just ecstatic with the results so far.
I totally agree. The major groups, I think labor really did their duty.
We get all the major groups on the same page, along with the precinct chairs and the activists. It's a powerful movement. So we need to keep reminding people of that so that we can keep our voter turnout up at the level of volume we need to see this state flip sometime soon.
So, Daniel, Rebecca, what's the pitch for Texans to understand the importance of investing in grassroots organizers this election cycle? What do you want to tell everyone to make sure they're aware?
Well, look what happened, right? I mean, at the end of the day, this was grassroots led. This was a grassroots uprising more than anything else. There was not a major group that came in and like started the whole thing for 6 months. I mean, really, to me, the momentum of this entire race changed with the precinct chairs, and specifically team moment where we like won a major battle within all of it was November 14th at a CEC. In fact, the speakers that were there on November 14th, some of them are here tonight. Mia Hernandez, Dr. Hassan Gokul. I mean, they're here to celebrate that. So if you've ever played something competitively with a team, you can feel momentum change. That was when the momentum change was in November. And since then, it's all gone in one direction. What was considered to be like, oh, it's competitive, it's tight, is now the most unifying primary ever because it's 4-1. I mean, the Democratic Party is now unified.
Simply that story that when the precinct chairs was up and showed what their opinion was is divisive. That's just not the story. That the story is unifying. That when we get to talk about the things that are important to us, then we want to be more involved. It's a real what you give is what you get, and when you're out there saying what you think and it's working out, and you gain power from it, it's a snowball effect.
There's also, I'll add one other thing. People who have data know some things. People who are on the ground and have skin in the game know things. But if you don't have either, we don't even want to hear the opinion. That's what the academics were, until other than the hobby pollsters who got it right, as it turns out. But the folks who were like, this could really divide, this could hurt our chances for November. No idea what the fuck they're talking about. No idea.
They were sitting at home thinking about it. They were not at the CEC. They were not at the press conference. They were not at the doors. They're just thinking about it.
They get paid to give opinions, not to be right.
Well, this is amazing work, y'all. I know y'all have a lot of celebrating to do. Any final thoughts or questions, Nick and Neil?
Join us.
I have a lot of questions, but man, I'll hold them. I just want to know who was the glue that brought you out of the wilderness? Because you said you were unified at the CEC and those. Who do you like, or what?
You're looking at him. He's right here on the call with you. He's gonna blush and all that. But
I'm gonna turn this color.
Yeah, but we've been talking about taking Timog down for years, and we just never quite got the recipe in order, and he did it. He got the press on there. He got people making the calls. He got a lot of people involved. And then he asked people like Jane Lesnick and myself and some other people, Darla Jones, who know how to get people out there in the doors, who have the ability to cut lists and tell people which doors to go to. He got us on board. And Coach Cam, Mia Hernandez, he's all over the place. There must be 6 of him.
I'm happy to be a team captain. We have a great movement, but over time, that's okay. I'm happy to be a team captain. I'll take a victory lap on those grounds, Nick. I'm happy to say that. So. And
it's really a good feeling to have something to be part of and a team to work for, because it really has been an exhausting period without a direction. And as for the post-redistricting landscape, figuring out what to focus on and how to get people involved has been tough. And right now, local politics, it feels really very pressing to be able to fight for better things on the local level.
Well, congratulations, Daniel and Rebecca. This is huge. Having grassroots power to win a county-wide race in a primary is going to have amazing ripple effects. We're excited to see what happens in Harris County. We're excited to help others learn throughout the state what y'all are doing, and go celebrate. Have a good time tonight. Y'all definitely have earned it.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for giving us a statewide platform to connect with and be part of, and so that we can all learn together. It's really, just thanks a lot for being part of this, all of you.
And always supporting grassroots funding and organizing and everything that you're doing, man.
And
absolutely.
I know there's someone else on the call, but I can't see who they are.
Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you, brothers. Yeah, solidarity to you guys.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Well, now that is some enthusiasm to have on election night in a primary. If that's not a jolt in the arm, I don't know what is. Let's take a couple of moments just to reflect on that. What are y'all's thoughts? What's the feelings? What comes to mind?
So it's a really good win, and it was grassroots. The AYnd people wanted to, whether they believed it or not, I don't know, but they couldn't accept. I think it dents their sense of themselves to accept that it isn't $1 zillion from out of town, or it isn't some sort of plot or whatnot. They couldn't, cruddy people imagine that everyone else is as cruddy as them, and the AYnd people just couldn't. And not everyone you defeat is cruddy, but it was a mean-spirited crew that had given people so much hope. The AYnd people had in 2016. It was a big win. You felt it was going to be a progressive thing, and it's really ended up being like a Republican thing. And I don't really believe in karma, but it is nice to see people receive just consequences for their actions. It is, and so I don't mean to make it a personal thing, but this is someone whom had substantially and wasted a lot of progressive effort, the effort it took her in 2016, and then the process by which she was. So there was a formal admonishment, and that was some of the things that Daniel was referencing. And Daniel had been an architect of that. The Harris County precinct chairs formally admonished Kim Ogg for her conduct, and rather really than defending herself, she kept saying that rather than defending herself, what she did, but she kept saying that everyone was being disruptive. This was disunity. You are Trump-like. We are fighting. And in one meeting, a really disappointing meeting of the Rules Committee on Zoom, State Senator Carol Alvarado, who I'm glad to see she is weakened and defeated by Kim Ogg's defeat. And I'm glad to see that as well. Senator Alvarado came on and talked about that these precinct executives, rank and file volunteer people, they denigrated the work of rank and file volunteer people and said they were disruptive. And it was just appalling to me that elected officials would come into volunteer rank and file spaces and say that you are disruptive, you are Trump-like. And so I'm very glad when the numbers were like 78-21 right off the bat, and you knew that the gig was up for Ogg, and it's well deserved. And I hope that it is a spur to greater grassroots participation. And I hope it's a spur for elected officials to understand that there are standards, that there's conduct they need to observe, that there are obligations that they have, and they're not all powerful. And so I think that's part of the significance, a great aspect of the win today.
Absolutely. Nick, any other thoughts or reflections?
Yeah, I think the word is historic. I think Dan and Rebecca have it right. The bottom up, grassroots, right? Like your name says. I think too long here in the state of Texas, we've gone top down. We've taken the national view of everything, and we went top down. When we showing that bottom up works better in order to get people elected and things done. We can't expect the top to bring the bottom up. The bottom has to raise up and then make the top stronger. So I think this is historic tonight.
Yeah, and it's hard not to be enthusiastic from the just energy you can feel that Daniel and Rebecca were sharing. And that's what we want in all of our communities in our counties. But I think what Daniel talked about, serving as team captain, right? He definitely is not wanting to take all the credit, because that is his nature. That is who he is. That's signs, in my opinion, of a great leader. But he definitely acknowledges his role as team captain to have all of those key relationships coming together to talk to each other so that folks can work towards a shared goal. And I think that's what's so key, is that it's almost like in a lot of our communities and a lot of our counties, we've got some timidness around people stepping up to be team captains. And I think for grassroots organizers, we need to be able to see the absolute importance of us doing that, not as a way of a kind of a saviorism leadership that we see from candidates that are modeled by campaigns, but this servant-based leadership of saying, we're going to work together. I'm going to be here to back you up. I'm going to be here to support you. We're going to do this together, and focusing on building that energy and enthusiasm that can be had because we have the numbers to create grassroots organizing efforts that are effective. And so I think it's just exciting to see that.